So good afternoon, good morning, depending on where you're calling from. We are happy to be joined by Eileen, Stephen Corey, Fatu, Victoria Nyaga, and Bako. I wish to have some updates before we go to any session. I could start with Bako, our senior representative partner.
Thank you so much, Ken, for the technical aspect. Unfortunately, we have nothing to share, but for the administrative aspect, we are working on the MOU and the proposal to come with one services that we have to provide for the next year. This is what we are doing.
Thank you very much, Bako. Bako is from Agreement and is our implementing partner covering Agreement is a partner of 17 countries in the ECOWAS. That's correct, Bako. Thank you, Bako. I'm also joined by Eileen Magero, who's doing her PhD research in water resources. Any update for us, Eileen?
Yes. So I've been looking at the different products for digital art and trying to understand better how they can be used to evaluate the indicators for the SDGs. Like I'm looking at it in more in depth than before. Yeah. So I'm hoping by some time I'll be able to make a presentation, maybe in like one indicator and what I find, hopefully.
Thank you very much.
And also I'm using it for my doctoral research because I want to learn more about plant physiology and yeah, the other notebooks. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Eileen. We're also joined by Stephen Corey. Then we'll go to Fatu Sane.
Yes, thanks, Ken. Since last week, I've been looking at the phenology, the crop phenology notebook. What I want to do with that, probably I'll do a presentation next year, not this year, but I want to look at the different phenological stages of plants and also incorporate temperature, that is the GDD, to be able to try and create a model that would predict yield, and also a way in which I can be able to differentiate between different crop types using the amplitude phases and the amplitudes and phases of different plants. So that I can be able to, and phenology profile, so that I can be able to differentiate between different crops. Because one of the things that I've realized is that unlike the previous times, climate change has really changed a lot of things. People do no longer plant crops at a specific time, then harvest at a specific time. They do that at different times. So that gives us a headache when you're trying to do some crop type masking. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you very much, Stephen Corey. Over to you, Fatu Sene. Would you, Fatu?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we.
Okay, so I am an intern at CSE, Senegal. I'm working on finding notebooks in the Sandbox gallery that can be used to monitor some indicators of sustainable development goals agreed upon at the Paris Agreement.
Bienvenue, Fatou. I know you are part of the GeoDPP with the Minister of Environment and Finance.
No. I'm an intern at CSI, Centre de Suivi Écologique.
Yeah, okay, correct. And
yes, with Mr. Amadou Sall.
Yes, correct. Well, thank you so much. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
We're also joined by Victoria Nyaga, who will give us an update.
Hello. I do not have an update for now.
We are happy to have you here, Victoria. Thank you so much for joining us. Today seems like it will be our last session for this year. And we just wanted to go through a summary of what has been covered so far and any questions that you might have. So looking at a recap of what was covered this year, I wish to take you to the easy program to use, which looks like the maps for most persons, because I know most of you are working with end users who are policymakers and they would like to see some of the results. And because of this interesting work, I've started with where Bako is sitting right now in Niamey, Niger. Is this correct?
Yes. Yes, Ken.
Thank you so much, Bako. And looking at Niamey, I think the city has grown over time. And we were looking at the various products that we have on the First of all, we have the annual geomat, which I can add here, and it will show us how things look in Niger over time. And the best thing about this, you can do a comparison, just doing a recap of what has been covered much of this year. You can see even between two geomat images, you can see small change. And also you can look at the change based on the water index. Just to do a recap, I know most of these things you know, just a small recap for some of us. And we can see some small changes. You know, this area, especially back where we have a lot of sometimes rain, and there's this big hotel somewhere, and there's this bridge where we used to have a lot of traffic when we are crossing to Agreement Center. So looking at this,
this is the flooding occurring in 2020.
Exactly. So looking at this geomat, you can also choose to just remove it, just to make sure how our work is very easy. And also we can try the Landsat geomat to see how things have looked, have been over this time. So looking at this geomat, I can do a comparison tool where I can have I can also do filter by location to make the work a little bit easier in terms of loading. You're just doing a small recap, and also you're free to interject where you see fit. So the beauty of the geomat is that it's a cloud-free mosaic covering those years. And you can see the beauty of this is that without struggling with our end users, you can show what changes have happened over time, which could be a testimony of what images are. So looking at this area, maybe around the airport, there has been also some changes over time. You can see this land here in 2013, and now how it is on the right in 2019, geomat, 2020 geomat, which I can also filter by this location. So this, I wanted to show you that these tools, you can actually be able to demonstrate to some of the end users who might not be very keen on what has happened over time in terms of what has been mentioned by everyone in this call, something on climate change. So looking at this area around here, there could be an issue of change of a small water regime. So we can do a small NDVI for this one and the other one. So these are the indices which you have. Instead of downloading the data, you can view from far and be able to visualize some very interesting results. Based on that, you can also choose to do according to NDVI to see how things have looked over time. Instead of downloading data, you can give the information very fast and put your policy brief in check. You can see, so this area, most likely it's swampy area. This one I'm pointing to, as you can see, and I also can choose to remove the image that I have on the screen to see what is on the background. So you can see it's an area which has experienced like slightly muddy, swampy areas, which when you put back the product, there's an element of an NDVI element. So swampy areas, grass growing, etc., etc. So still in the same example of Niger near me, we can do something beyond what is called innovative remote sensing. So I think it was mentioned earlier on that DE has developed this fractional cover. So what's the use of fractional cover? This product, you can see it here, and we can look at the information on it. It's part of vegetation, and it shows the bare land, and also it shows the non-photosynthetic product and the photosynthetic product. So it means that with this, we can visualize how the bare land has changed over time, and it's a product which has been borrowed from the Joint Remote Sensing Center program, who've given us more information about this fractional cover. So based on the scientists who've done some of this research, it's very useful to provide you an idea of the landscape, green vegetation, and the bare soil. And the bare soil is characteristic of urbanization. So looking at this, we can just go and look at how Niamey looks in the city. And you can see the change. This is not a comparison tool. This is just a big product to show especially changes around urban areas and where there's an aspect of the land changing in between products. So looking at this, the bare soil is the one in red, and the photosynthetic product should be the one slightly green. And non-photosynthetic product is a product which are not bare soil, and they are normally NPV. So this is just a small example of Niamey. And since everyone is on this call, they can give me an example of another city they want to look at the fractional cover. Or before then, we can also do a comparison of the same, because why not? So I have two products, 84, and coming back to where we are in the 2000s. It's a very good product to see how the landscape has changed over time. So product is also developed from the Landsat, and this is very useful product to give us a big assessment of some of the areas that we have. So it will load. So you can look at the change of the city over time around this area where there's been building. And I can choose also to remove the product in the background so that you can see like the area I had marked around the airport area which was built. So you can see in 84, there wasn't much of that airport. It was a small area. And the same you can compare with the product for 2001, and you can see how it looks over time. So it can give you a big a comparison, like where we have some small farms slightly around the river. You can see how they behave. They are green actually itself, and the red is mostly the bare soil or the desert areas. So we can have an example of an area that you'd like. Someone mentioned Addis Ababa, and let's go. Then we'll also look at the example by Fatu. So this means that we are just trying to go beyond the remote sensing products and trying to see what you can see using this product of fractional cover as an assessment. So I have two cities to look at based on how the internet is today. So Addis Ababa has grown over time, and I can put the products, and also I remove the filters. I have to bring back the filter. And I know David is more interested with Bole International Airport, where he's seen a lot of changes over time. So the product first on this is trying to load on the right, or in case there's none. For that time, I can choose a different date, or because it's based on the other side. So this one will load. So this is what we have for 2011, 2020. And if I can remove that, for 80s, things were different in Addis Ababa. You can look at the product, and I can try to narrow into better assessments. So you might not get food products in the 80s, maybe because of the imagery which was collected, but it's somehow fairly useful. So different zones were different, and now the zones looks more dense in towards 2021. So which is a testimony. Maybe David might try to add some information about Addis. Otherwise, we move to the next city, which is, I know it's a small forest area in Senegal. near Nkololoba, where there's quite some issue of deforestation over time as communities coexist with the forest. Things, there's been some changes over time. Fatu, maybe you'd like to add some information about this city? So it's a small city, as you see, just below River Gambia, the river with Senegal and Gambia. So we can do a filter. First, I'll put the layers. So as you can notice, the layers are quite dense as they load for the whole continent. But it's quite a good effort. So that is the layer for different years. And you can see this is based on the different sensors which were used. So I can put closer to Landsat 7. So Landsat 7 around 2010 should be a good assessment. That the same sensor which had stripe errors. So things were, they really affect our analysis. So Landsat 5 was a little bit more reliable. So as you can see, it's trying to load some of the dates. Don't worry if your computer hangs. Sometimes the product is quite intense. So this is how things look, and it's trying to compare different layers. So what I can do, I can remove the fractional cover for now so that we can look at the city and you can get the context of where it is. So there's this river dividing, it's still within Senegal. So south and north of Senegal towards the Gambia. And the city has actually grown mostly from fishing activities as well as proximity to water. And also I know there's a lot of forest activities in the south with the Gambia and the Guinea-Bissau. So going down again to the same product, you can see the different changes with the fractional cover. This is a summary, how things looked different years ago, and how they have been picked by this particular sensor. Then also, we can pick out also some other anomalies. So adding maybe a GeoMAD product to see how this is really, how it really looks over time. So using the GeoMAD, I can also do a comparison within the GeoMAD, so that you have products on the left and the right, and you can see the change which brings out. First, we can do the geomedian. You can see the city within 2 years, quite some change over time. So on the left and on the right, you can see quite some density of houses, including also a small airstrip. Also, we can do some changes like the MAD product, which gives you a variability of different spectral areas. So I was trying to just go to the spectral curve of remote sensing and the information that you get. Also, you can do some near infrared, which gives you quite a different aspect of how things look from different images. So we're just trying to look at beyond the regions that we look, how things look in the infrared spectrum, another spectrum. Then another example is given by Eileen for a small city, which might be a metropolis in the next future, near future. And also allowing for any question that you might have. And then I'll show you a last example on the relevance of fractional cover and water, like a water body. So you can see Machakos has grown depending on the context here. Quite a small city, but now grown quite in terms of its environments. And the image as it loads, I can just put a geomat product, which is already preloaded. Then as you can see in the infrared how it looks, different years. And I can bring it back to something which you can relate to in terms of NDVI, which gives you at least an idea of how people have cut vegetation to build houses. Then also we can change to another index, which is very interesting. So sometimes it's semi-dry areas which try to look like desert environments, which can give you quite a variability of how the area looks over time. So the one on the left shows quite some developments, and the left you see quite less. So the redness shows you how much of it is changing to bare. And also since now I have the fractional cover in the background to support that analysis or assessment, I can put it now. And we can see how it looks for this Machakos metropolis. So the one on the left will load soon. So I'll give it some time. So it gives quite some dates, so I can change back to the Landsat 5, which was quite giving better results at the moment. So you can see how the city has changed from the images on the left to the right. So also some areas which were bare in the left, but towards the right, there was more area. So it means the city has grown from vegetation being cut to people building houses, as you can see on these other ends and the environs. So it's quite an informative tool. Just when you engage the policymakers, try to show them that they need to act fast. Otherwise, there will be no vegetation left or water towers left for the coming generation. So the last example I wanted to show you was the relevance of this fractional cover and a small water body. So if you don't mind, I can look at south of Lake Turkana, which is a desert lake. And when you look at it towards the south, there's a small lake which is called Lake Logipi, which tends to disappear over time. And this lake also is a salt lake. So here the assessment will be, why does it change over time? So this is a normal geomat product, and as you can see, still the same, there's some changes. Then you can put the water index just to see what has been happening. You can see towards the south, on the right, there's some water filling in here. And on this one, sometimes it's disappearing over time. And based on that small assessment, what's the relevance of a fractional cover in such analysis? So this one I can try to disable first. Then I put the fractional cover and filter by this location. When you make it a filter by location, it makes the loading a little bit faster because the fractional cover has been done by the Landsat tile series. So you can see there's quite some variability of water here on the left, and on the right, sometimes it even disappears completely and becomes red, which is like bare soil. So it's quite relevant. And maybe you might want also to support that using the annual water, the WOFS product, which I've loaded one here in the bottom, or even the CHAPS data, which is available. Maybe just a question is whether you know where it is. So the rainfall data is here below on the meteorology. We've added the rainfall data. And also you can compare with also other land covers like the European Space Agency land cover, just to add to this information to see how relevant it is. You can see it actually picks the water body slightly on the north part of it. And also you can choose to remove the layer and also look at further assessment using the water observation from space, which shows the area might be changing over time. And using this sort of observation from space, you can also do a compare of it, where we could have one on the left and the one on the right, so that we don't have confusions of the data sets that we have. So this one you can change to a near, like the 80s. You can see how things looked and how things look at now. So you can see the lake has been observing some variability, this particular body, Logi P, which I can zoom in and you can see behaves like more of a desert lake, which disappeared. So most likely also for those who've done some work here, there are normally some crocodiles and they normally migrate back to the big lake whenever there's some changes over time. So I wish to pause there for engagements and also showing you that whatever we have on the sandbox is now available on the GitHub or the notebooks, giving you an idea of the notebooks that you might require and the latest update. Like the crop health, I think there was an update recently, the mangrove tool, and also the frequently used code we've used several times. And also working closely with you, we'll be able to develop the blogs and many, many more, which most of you have been able to help us gracefully, like Stephen Corey, the work on the cane poaching. I know Eileen Magro, you did the Odyssey workshop for Mount Kilimanjaro, and every one of you has been instrumental in one way or another. Then also working closely with you to explore the introduction to this course, which is there, and also we're trying to add more information. And lastly, also that the help desk is there for any information. And lastly, we have the WhatsApp groups for keeping in touch with everybody. I can see Bako, you've raised your hand. Any questions, sir? Any question from any one of you? Can see now.
I'd like to make a comment.
Yes, please.
So thank you so much, Dr. We've had an impressive year, I think, from the second point where we never hide anything up to now, where we can proudly say we have a platform that is running. We have lots of notebooks in it that we can utilize. We have a lot of people that we can fully say they've fully benefited from this, guys who have had certificates. And I think this has only been through your guidance and constantly reminding us that the sessions are ready for us to engage in and to do a few other things together. I think coming next year, we will be shifting the gears a little bit. We intend to do a little bit more than what we've accomplished this year. We've had a lot of engagements from other sectors that require also our hands, but we hope next year we'll be fully in this. And we hope to do more and see more visibility in most of the activities that we'll be doing. So from RCMD and from me, thank you so much for 2021. We hope to see you 2022 with more vigor and more work. Thank you.
Thank you so much, David Ongo. And I know you have the GeoHub, which you've started. So looking also forward to see how we can engage on the same.
Thank you so much. I'll be calling you for dinner, maybe next weekend.
Thank you so much. I'll come with my mask.
Oh, please do.
Yes, Bako. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think Ken, after David, I just want to thank you for thank you in particularly and in general all the team for all the achievements, because we have access to data, we can write our script, we can do everything that we need. I think this is why we are trying to have a special proposal for the next year, so to be able to apply all what we receive in terms of capacity development during this year. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bako, and also for helping us in this work, and your advice is very useful. Thank you so much. Anyone else? or we just pause for the group photo, and we'll see you in 2021, 22, most like from the 19th of January. That should be the third week, at least giving you some time to adjust, and also maybe take your kids to school and etc. etc. Anyone else who wants to get a group photo? So going again, if there's one who wants to have a group photo. So thank you everybody for making these sessions possible, and it's because of you we'll stay also in touch and connect, and also we'll bring more announcements on new products, such as what Fatu asked about. Something on land degradation will be possible through fractional cover, and with your support we'll be able to do much more in this coming year in just a few weeks. And mine is to continue to encourage you to continue the great work, and also we'll overcome the COVID, and very soon face-to-face will be possible in any location. I know Agreement will be able to host a workshop, RCMRD, Eileen maybe during her holidays should be able to visit one of these institutions, and Corey will be able to share some of these machine learning algorithms on the platform. So thank you everybody, and also Victoria will be able to work with us even in the next coming months. Thank you so much everybody, and stay well and be blessed. Bye-bye, and see you soon, inshallah.
Thank you.